hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.
Hi guys, just one little factor here before we start this video here today. If for any reason my YouTube channel gets taken down, which could happen because we're challenging the deep state and we're challenging the powers behind the scenes. But if it does get taken down, I'm going to share the link below here. We have a website, drcharlieward.co.uk, and you can subscribe on there to our updates and our newsletters, etc., that are being produced by Lee Hemington. But you'll be able to keep in touch with what's going on. So at the moment, everything is nice and smooth. But if for any reason we get taken down, you simply go to my website, drcharlieward.co.uk, and register there, and you'll get all the information as to where we are or where you can view our videos. Hi guys, and today I'm joined by Brad Kimes, who's going to give us some insight into the crypto side, because as you all know, I'm not a specialist in that field, so it's very important for me to learn. I have little pieces of information. It's very important to learn about what I'm talking about. So welcome, Brad.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Charlie. I really do appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. For me to learn about something new like this is fascinating because I've been told little snippets of information. And of course, the more I can learn, the better informed I become.
Well, I'm glad to be here. And look, I'm excited to learn a lot from you. I mean, you happen to know a lot of inside baseball, and I'm hoping we get a chance to talk about that and your path that led you into that world.
Sure. Well, I started off, I was many years in the sort of hotel and multi-vacation and timeshare business for many years all over the world. And when you're running resorts like that, you land up as sidelines changing people's money. And people come and stay from all over the world, and they want to change their euros, or in those days it was pesetas, pounds into pesetas, and change their currency. So we used to do a lot of changing of money. And of course, we were paid by English companies in Spain, and we needed pesetas. So you get involved in exchanging currency, and that was the start of my business. And then further down the line, you get people to say, well, I'm always interested in changing money. I had somebody in my office in Singapore once walked into my office and said, Charlie, I need £10,000 in England today, can you help me? I said, yeah, I've got people there, no problem at all. If you give me your Singapore dollars here plus a bit of commission, you can have it there this afternoon. And that was the basic starts of it. And of course, when you've got people in power and wealthy people come to stay, you tend to look after them in a slightly different way. So you become friends with them over the years and you get to know them. And that was the start of my journey. Different people staying, you get to know different people, and it sort of grows. And it's like planting a seed. And then others, it's all, in my case, it was organic. I had one politician staying, and he needed some stuff doing, and suddenly he's talking to another politician. Well, if you need it doing, talk to Charlie. He can do it. And that was the basic, the organics of where we started. And of course, then when you go out and you meet these people, you go out for lunch with them, you're entertaining them, and you're socializing with them. So they start telling you stories about what they do, and they invite you to their own embassies or their places of work, or wherever you go, you see things on the other side, and you just build this relationship. But often people said, oh, how did you earth get into this business? And I said, it's not something you trained for. It just happened. It fell at my feet. And then people say, well, I need this doing. Can you do this? Can you do this? And it's become so difficult nowadays for people to move money around without a million questions. And when you consider that all the money that we've got is completely corrupt anyway, It's all printed, and then they want it back with tax and interest. It's a completely corrupt system. They're allowed to do what they want with it, but they don't like anybody else doing it. So they jump all over you. They've made it impossible for people to move money around because they want to be the only ones that do it. But I've been doing it for a long time now, and I've worked with a lot of interesting people. And I see the private jet showing behind you there. Been on many of those in my life, and of course, when you're on one of those, you have a lot of conversations about things you wouldn't talk about on the ground.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I figure when we're done here, I'm going to wrap and go get a hot dog on the West Coast. You know,
Exactly.
just kind of, yeah, a milkshake. Anyway, yeah, no, that's very interesting. So, how about your background career-wise? I mean, like, did you work any government-level jobs or anything like that that gave you access to this inside, like, connections to people, or was it just your natural growth through like timeshares and meeting people and expanding that way?
It was originally natural growth. I did work for 3 years behind the scenes with the government, advising the British government on the security of prisons for a company called Sensormatic. For UK people, they'd know the name Sensormatic. Spanish, so would Americans actually, because their office was in Deerfield Beach in Florida. They got taken over by Tyco, but they were access control closed circuit television, which was my wife wanted me to leave the industry in Spain, so I moved back to England. That's what I was doing. So I had access to information on that aspect, and you get to know, again, a number of politicians. And I've always regarded individuals. I've never looked up to anybody and never looked down on anybody. So I treat everybody exactly the same, treat people with respect. It doesn't matter their color, their sex, their religion, anything. I treat people exactly the same. And high-powered people in power, some are complete idiots and some are really nice people, but I treat them all with exactly the same respect. So it's not something that you can plan. It's just something that just happened, and it was very organic. And you just get to meet certain people at certain events, and you're talking about what you're doing, and they go, you know what, Charlie, you could help us with this, and you could help us with that. And you know, that's how it's sort of grown. It's grown very, very organically. And I've just connected with people who, there's two things I don't ask for in life. I don't ask for respect, and I don't ask for trust. They're things you earn. And the minute you hear somebody say, trust me, you run a mile. And respect is not something that you demand. It's something you command. You earn it. And I've learned that. I've learned to earn respect and earn trust. And in the business, it's all about trust and respect. That's the two key ingredients to what I do.
Well, yeah, I can actually echo that sentiment myself, because as a YouTuber here with my channel, Digital Perspectives, I mean, you know, I have a great amount of respect for the people that take time out of their day to watch me and to watch the videos, and in turn, I feel that from them, you know, and it absolutely is a give and take. Now, there's been some you know, really great comments on your part talking about things that are exciting when it comes to a new quantum financial system, the potential use of XRP and gold-backed XRP and things like this. I want to ask you a few of these questions. Can we start with the quantum financial system? You just talk about what you're seeing there, what you're hearing.
Right from the start, 6 years ago, Brad, I was told they were going to collapse the world's economy. 6 years ago, they told me this. This is American government officials that I work with, that I know. Then 2 years ago, they told me when we were nearly there, they had Donald Trump in power, they had Boris Johnson in power, and we were coming out of the EU. And then in December, they said, right, we're going to collapse the world's economy this year coming, 2020. And I went, how are you going to do that then? I'll be honest with you, I didn't really think it was possible. And I certainly didn't believe it was possible with nothing more than the common cold. But if you have the mainstream media behind you, And the corrupt government and the corrupt mainstream media, it just shows how much they can get away with. So they collapsed the world's economy. They collapsed the American economy. They collapsed the European economy. They collapsed a lot. The whole idea of that, I was told, was for a global financial reset. So I started asking what that meant. And they were saying, well, we're going to shut down the old fiat financial system, which is the Federal Reserve, because it's corrupt. And I went, how are you going to do that? I said, you wait and see. The minute that Donald Trump moved that into the Treasury, I was like, okay, so now he's got control of it. I can see how this, yeah, okay, that's a clever move. Started to see it unfold. And I said, so what's the new system going to be? And they said, oh, it's going to be a quantum financial system. I said, what's one of them? They said, wait and see. So I said, okay, I'll wait and see. And they said, they've been testing this quantum financial system since, well, they've been planning it for a number of years, but they actually tested it live from August the 2nd, Sunday, August the 2nd, where they pinged every bank in the world to get a return communication that it was working. It's actually been running for the whole month of August. They've been testing it out, doing trial transactions to make sure there's no glitches. From what I understand, they will take down the old fiat system, the old banking system, the SWIFT system, the Federal Reserve system on the 31st of August. That's what I understand. That's what they've told me. But there has been a number of little glitches because there's been people trying to stop it happening. So don't take my word for it. That's what I've been told. I'm telling you, but it's happening. If it happens, give or take a few days, it's happening very soon. The quantum financial system is I didn't know what it meant, but I said, so how's that going to work? They said, it's going to work on a blockchain system. I said, really? What's that? I didn't know. That's why communication with people like you is enlightening, because you can explain what it is, because I just don't know. I know a blockchain system is a digital system, I believe. That's how I understand it. And then they were talking about it, and they said, and we'll be using the XRP system. So I said, what's that? I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of the 3 letters XRP. I'd heard of Bitcoin, which I believe is BTC, but I'd never heard of XRP. So when I put that information out, the cryptocurrency world went absolutely mad. And I got phone calls from all over the world saying, are you sure? Are you sure? I said, well, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I just know that I was told they're going to use the XRP system. And I don't even know what XRP is. So I need a bit of enlightenment. I don't know what blockchain is. I don't know what XRP is. But I know that's the system I've been told we're going to be using. So now you've learned something from me, but I now need to know what the hell I'm talking about.
Well, you know, I think it's a constant process for everybody to just be learning, right? So it's good that we can come together in this way. One of the things that stands out to me when I hear quantum financial system is that, you know, quantum computing, as far as I understand it, is not being used currently right now. So when I hear quantum financial system, I think figuratively the word quantum being used as opposed to literally in the sake of quantum computing. That's just my first thought.
You may be right.
I have no, right. Well, and honestly, and I'm just proposing these questions because I really don't know, Charlie, if I'm right. Those are the first things that kind of come up in my mind. But that doesn't mean that they're not figuratively, someone's using quantum as like a giant leap figuratively, you know what I mean, when in fact it means something else. But that aside, you know, the XRP system, you know, the XRP ledger is a universal ledger. It's a universal digital ledger. And basically it can work seamlessly with another ledger called the interledger protocol. And that basically allows that to work together seamlessly to be interoperable with any network or system. Plug and play basically kind of is the way to think about it, right? Like a API plugin almost. So, all right. So in my mind, I just want to unpack this a little bit. So you mentioned SWIFT and SWIFT ending possibly within the next week or so. Now, just for people who may or may not know, SWIFT is doing somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 trillion a day. So that's a point we want to kind of try to get some clarity on if we're able to, because that's a lot of money to stop flowing in a day. If it's going, like what does shut down mean, or what does, like what does that really quantify to, I mean, what does that really break down to? And I guess the other thing is that, well, let's just start right there and then we'll build out. What do you think?
Well, the one thing that I've learned is that the new system has been operational since the 2nd of August.
Okay.
Because we have one particular person that came to us that transferred £50,000 to America, and it arrived within seconds. So we know for a fact that that wouldn't happen in the SWIFT system. It would take hours, if not,
days.
Days, exactly. It's up to 3 days, but normally the fastest it can be there is a couple of hours on the same day thing, especially if you're changing currency.
Yeah. And
this changed currency, and it was there within something like 5 seconds or something. So you'd suggest they're probably testing it already. Well, I know they're testing it already. The SWIFT system is basically the Federal Reserve system. It's a corrupt system, and it's being completely controlled by the deep state, which Donald Trump is trying and succeeding to remove. So he wants a system that they're no longer controlling, because when they've got no money, they've got no power.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because, obviously we all are well aware that the Federal Reserve has been printing well over $7 trillion during this whole shutdown. One of the things I find interesting to all of this, to add to the conversation, is I just covered last week an IMF, International Monetary Fund webinar, where they talked, and the narrative of that webinar was debasing the currencies, the dominant currencies of the world, like the USD. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Debasing it?
Yes.
What does it? You'll have to explain what that means.
In other words, revaluing the currency's value across the board, and basically the gist of the conversation that was happening that day was, how do we readjust an external adjustment to dominant currencies like the US dollar against all other currencies, because of the different, there's some sub layers in there, but we can get into those in a minute.
Well, I did hear today from a very good source that the president of Iraq has gone back and fired his entire government and is replacing it with a government that will fit in with Donald Trump. And they will be the first in the set of dominoes to fall to be revalued. So at what level, I don't know. I'm sure they know behind the scenes, but that will be the first one to watch out for.
Okay. And when you think about, in fact, let's talk about the XRP backed by gold, right? So this is interesting. Are you familiar with Judy Shelton?
Yep.
Okay, so Judy Shelton, a recent nominee to the Federal Reserve Board, has yet to be confirmed, but any day it appears that she will be confirmed, and on a full vote on the Senate floor. So it's interesting because there's, you're not the only one to think that, or to believe that there will be an XRP gold-backed system, and I'm not here to say it's right or wrong. What I want to do is just have a conversation as much as we can about some of the things that I'm aware of, like Judy Shelton, for instance. I covered her quite heavily on the channel, and she did a conference in 2017, the Jack Kemp conference, and she broke down her idea of the gold-backed system for major currencies of the world. Are you familiar with that?
That's why she's been put in that job.
Well, it's interesting because, if they employ her vision from that talk she gave, it really talks about a new gold bond that's introduced to back a 5-year gold bond to back the major currencies of the world, and it be physically redeemable for gold, creating a level playing field in the sense that countries could still manipulate their currency, but it wouldn't hurt anybody in another country, because if you have a neutral reference point that sits in the middle of it, which a lot of people like myself believe could be XRP, then you have XRP facilitating a store of value and a medium of exchange, but they could still use the unit of account of the US dollar to settle globally through the legacy systems, but have a gold-backed bond market that is created and exists to keep everybody legit, because you could choose to be, because here's the thing that's interesting to me is that, you know, when another country's holding and buying your debt, they're buying bonds against your country, right? They're buying and holding those bonds, that debt. And that's done every day. It's not outside the realm. But the thing that I find interesting about it is that if according to her system, if it's physically redeemable by gold, you don't have to take that country's cash when that bond matures, right? And that keeps them legit, because if it's pegged to gold, then I get the 1 ounce of gold. It doesn't matter what your currency's worth that day. That's the long and short of that. And I see that. That makes a lot of sense to me, which really, if that system is employed for major currencies, makes me feel like, you know, it's really not necessary to back XRP per se by one metal, when the universal ledger is actually designed to house many different things, assets of value that have been tokenized, whether it's precious metals or oil or, you know, tokenized stocks or tokenized real estate. It could be many things. And all that value that exists on the ledger when it's placed there is a part of the collective value reflected in the token, as well as the utility that moves through the system that is actually settled by the token on that ledger. So it's just a broader picture in my mind of what's actually going on. And one of the things I wanted to touch on is like debt forgiveness or NESARA, GESARA, like a debt jubilee. Now, for those that don't know, and I'm sure your listeners do, but just for some of mine, you know, debt forgiveness has happened plenty of times before in history. I mean, not too long ago, the IMF excused the debt and really bought the debt and took it over and excused the debt for a lot of third world countries, like 70 or 80 countries. It's not out of the realm of possibility for the IMF and others to do these things, but will it happen on a larger scale? Do you think, what do you think, Charlie?
100% yes. I'm so glad you're on this show, because you put it so eloquently earlier. You're absolutely spot on right. It's got, I use the term gold, but gold, silver, precious metals, diamonds, currency. But the critical thing is the currencies and the XRP will be backed by something of value rather than fresh air.
Yeah, I do believe that that's a huge point to make. You're making a very good point. And the broader it is, I feel like the better, because the truth is that, you know, we are moving from a debt-backed system to a asset-backed system. Correct. And I think that's the large thing that we're definitely connected on. And I do believe that. My question is that if we're going to see something like a debt jubilee happen on a mass scale for the major countries of the world, not just these smaller countries where the debt could be absorbed by someone like the IMF, you know, how does this happen in your eyes, Charlie? Because you have debt, you know, people hold debt, you know, there's bondholders. How do you make the bondholders whole on that debt?
I honestly don't know, because at the end of the day, I'm just Charlie, but I just know that yeah, I'm sure. I know for a fact that the team behind Donald Trump have thought this through and planned it incredibly well. One thing that's for sure is that people's mortgages, student loans, credit card debts, that's very, very clear that they'll be forgiven. Very, very clear. There'll also be compensation. There's a lot of people that have had their houses and businesses taken off them because of debt. These people will not only get that money back, but will be compensated. They'll be forgiven the debt. They'll be compensated, and this is part of the world we're going to move into. I don't know what it will be, because Donald Trump hasn't phoned Charlie up and said, this is what's going to happen. I'm just having to pick up the pieces, the bits I hear, and create the picture. But it's very, very clear that if you understand the principles of the Great Awakening, revelation, you understand what's going on, and you talk to people that are on a different dimension, spiritual dimension, whether it be through numerology, symbology, astrology, they're all saying the same thing. We're coming through a very difficult phase right now, but when we come out the other side, we're coming to a better world. Now, I'm having to piece together bit by bit what that better world is, because my world right now is wonderful. I've got a wonderful wife, a wonderful family, and no debt. It's a wonderful world, but it's going to get even better than that. Not that I need another wife.
So, so you were hearing people talk about a debt jubilee that extends beyond a high level debt jubilee for banks and institutions, but as far down as the consumer level.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Very, very much at the consumer level, because somebody said to me, well, what about the people who make money out of debt? Well, I said, if you're making money out of debt, you deserve to be in debt. This is about humanity. This is about looking after people. It's not about making money out of debt, because we were talking about the quantum financial system. We were talking earlier about next year, you won't be able to get mortgages. You won't be able to borrow money from the bank. They won't exist. So I said to them, so how does that work? And they said, well, on the quantum system, you'll have family members who will say to you, fine, put my name on the mortgage, and the prices of houses will drop by between 50 and 80%. So they'll be at the same prices like my grandparents, where you could buy a house for 2 years' salary. Then you'll have family members say, fine, put my name on the house, and you can have the money off, use my credibility to pay for your house, so that you have this situation. And there'll be plenty of people willing through humanity who have money to say, fine, I'll help this member of the family. I'll help this member of the family. And the idea of, interest on lending money, those days are gone. In this world we're moving into a different world. We can't comprehend it because we've lived our life in debt, owing taxes that are illegal, interest that's illegal on money that's illegal. And we've got to wake up to what's actually going on, because we're moving into a far better world. So if you've been making money out of debt, hopefully you won't benefit an awful lot, but the people who've been screwed by you hopefully will.
Yeah, I definitely believe that we're moving from a debt-based system to an asset-backed system. There's no question about it. We can see it happening every day. So, when you hear these things, because obviously, everybody has sources. I have people send me things all the time. What is the one or two things that you could share with people from my audience, Charlie, who are just meeting you now, that really gives them the confidence, you know what I mean? Because I have a circle of 5 or 6 really close friends that we talk about this stuff all the time. We mastermind heavily. We get things and intel, but we always make everybody trust and verify, right? And I don't want you to reveal any sources, but as much as you're able to trust and verify for my audience and people listening out here, what can you share with them, Charlie?
Well, I've got the best advice of one person I can tell you about that will give you all the information. First things first, you take the information from Brad, you take it from Charlie, you take it from other people, and you make sure that your moral compass is correct. And you take it inside yourself, and then you ask God or Allah or whoever you trust in. If you don't believe in anybody, then ask your mother or your grandmother, because they're very, very good at guiding you. They know an awful lot more than you give them credit for. But it's time to look inside yourself and trust your intuition. Trust what we say in England: if it looks like shit and smells like shit, it's probably shit. Or the posh people say, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So it's time to make sure our moral compass inside is correct. And when you listen to people, at the moment, the reason that I've got a following, the reason that Brad's got a following is we're telling the truth in a world of lies. And people are sick and tired of lies because it doesn't make sense. Why would you wear a mask in 40 degrees of sunshine when a virus can't exist above 23.7 degrees? You only need to look at biology. When you look at the history of the virus, why would you wear a mask when it was downgraded to nothing more than the flu? So it wasn't even as bad as man flu. You need to look inside yourself instead of, and the best thing you can do is turn off the television because it's full of absolute rubbish. Propaganda and rubbish. Want to find the truth? Go out, look on the internet, research for yourself, and then put the information into yourself. And does it sit well? Does it add up? Does it make sense? And then share it with other people and say, does that? Because many people are saying to me right now, Brad, it doesn't make sense what's happening right now. It doesn't make sense. And then suddenly, when I was talking to somebody the other day about cryptocurrency, which I know nothing about, I said, Charlie, what you said about XRP, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense to me. And I said, well, I'm glad I made sense to you because I haven't got a clue what it is. I've just been told they're going to use the XRP system. But it's very important to find out what makes sense because the truth makes sense. Lies don't make sense.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think that's what we're trying to do today is just really get people as much clarity as we can between the information that you receive and then trying to really put it here against some of the things we actually know as a community over in the crypto world and say, hey, these things, you know, we could take off the table. These things we can leave on the table. And these things we need to watch out for because we don't know. My big thing is like, look, you know, if I can't dismiss it, it stays on the table.
I agree.
And it stays on the table until it proves itself out or not, right? I mean, that's the only way is to let things prove themselves out to you. And to that point, you've heard some incredible numbers about what XRP may be able to do or serve in the community as far as price. Talk to us a little bit about that if you could.
Well, that just shocked the pants off me because I remember the day when I looked at Bitcoin when it was $100 a coin. And I just thought, how on earth can a cryptocurrency that's not backed by anything be worth $100? And I thought, it was stupid, absolutely stupid. And then I suddenly went to like 500 and then to 1,000. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And now it's like, I don't know, 7,000, 10,000. I have no idea what it is because it's not something I know anything about. So when I was talking to somebody the other day, they said, oh, well, you should get some XRP. I've gone, what the hell is XRP? Where do I find it? What do I do? So they showed me. And I have a WIREX account, which has a debit card. And I've added the XRP on there. And I'll tell you right now, I bought 2,000 euros worth of XRP. And I think it was 9 cents or something per XRP coin, whatever they call themselves. I don't know what is it a coin? Is it a token? I don't know what they call it.
You can call it a coin or a token. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I put my money into it. It tells me I've got loads and loads and loads of tokens. And I thought, oh, that's funny. And if I see it go, I put 2,000 euros and it's gone up to 2,200. It went up to 2,400, now back to 2,200. It's in and around there. And I spoke to 2 people about cryptocurrency. And one person was working on the quantum financial system that I know. So I said, just as a matter of interest, because there's me thinking 9 cents today for me. If it went to $1 or it went to euro, whatever, then I'd get 10 times the money. I was like, whoa. And so the first one said, well, yeah, it could go to 10 to 15,000. I nearly jumped out of my seat. I was like, what? And you suddenly think, well, that's my mortgage payment. Not that I have a mortgage, but it's huge amounts of money. So then I was talking to somebody later on in the day, and I said, I hear that XRP could go huge. And he's going, yeah, it could go as high as 2,000. I went, even that's massive. But when I started looking at it and thinking what Bitcoin did, and what some of the cryptocurrencies. Look, I have no idea. I've no idea at all. These are just figures that people have told me, and I've passed the information on. I've got no idea what they're going to go to. I'm not qualified. I've got no qualifications in giving financial advice at all. I just hear bits of a story, and I provide that information. And when I provide the information about XRP, the internet went mad with questions like, but I had no idea what it meant. So having a communication with you and with Brown Crypto Kid and Sir Gordon was completely constructive for me, because I'm starting to learn more about it. And it's a completely new thing for me.
No, I understand. And I'm glad that we're able to have the chance to get together and talk about this stuff, because, one of the other things that's pretty interesting is that, I know you've heard some people tell you, that XRP could go at a pretty high price. It is a conversation that is a constant theme or narrative amongst the, XRP space and all the members and retail investors about what it can do in the actual market that it can serve. And I certainly believe it can go to that place. I don't have any, any questions seeing what it is able to solve as a pain point for an industry of cross-border settlements that could be as much as going from remittance to settling derivatives markets, FX markets around the world. I mean, it certainly sits in a beautiful spot to serve at that. The interesting thing is, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, you may or may not be, but recently the former CFTC chairman, Chris Giancarlo, had written a professional opinion on XRP, which up until now has been in quite a contention about whether it's a security or not. And obviously, people that are on my channel or know me know that I understand it to not be a security at all. And I believe that holding back the classification or the designation of this new digital asset is a way of keeping a lid on it until they're actually ready to use it, because it has been cited in the World Economic Forum, which I can actually send you the PDF after we get done here today. I should have sent it to you beforehand if I was thinking a little more. But it's a really great policymaker toolmaker kit from the World Economic Forum on building a CBDC. And this PDF file is quite interesting because in it, it actually shows XRP recommended in that framework for settlement for inter and intrabank settlement in central banks, which is really kind of what it seems like its real intention is to be back-end settlement for all different kinds of assets of value, whether it be tokenized fiat money or other things like derivatives that we talked about. So when I think about the ability for XRP to excel and get a very high price, I don't have a problem with the idea or notion. One thing I think of is the classification is what's needed now for the asset. And the interesting thing is it could be either a security, a commodity, or a currency, or some kind of hybrid that we're not aware of classification for this new digital asset. And I happen to subscribe to what Chris Giancarlo said in his professional opinion paper, that XRP is not only not a security, but a currency. And have you heard anything of that nature or that kind of conversation at all?
No, I've heard that. I've heard that. They've told me that, and this is where I get lost, because they said we're using a blockchain system, and the system that the blockchain system we're using is XRP. But I don't even know what that means.
Right. So really you have like the token, right? The blockchain, right? And the protocol, right? So I think the best way to understand it very simply is the way that Glenn Hutchins explained it once at a SEC fireside chat, is to think of it like the railroad tracks, the railroad car, and then the token goes inside the car, right? Everything of value goes in the token inside the car, and then you move it where you want to move it.
So the blockchain is the railway?
Well, the protocol is the railway. The blockchain is the manifest, okay, right, that goes inside. And then you got the token, which is the railroad car that moves where you want it to move, okay, right? I think that's...
I'm learning.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a really great way to kind of, it's very simple. Glenn Hutchins, God bless him, he's something else to be able to lay it down that simple for people, because it wasn't me. But that's about the best way I've heard it explained, and I think it's a great way to kind of grasp what it is. But okay, so I guess, you know, honestly, that was really about it. I just wanted to really drill down on, you know, XRP, the quantum system, what quantum was, the XRP backed gold, and you are hearing that. And maybe what we could do, Charlie, is maybe you could talk to some of the people that you're getting information from, share some of the things that we've talked about today, and see if we can develop a further information and clarity about what we both know.
I totally agree with you, because that would then be so constructive, because at the moment, the language that they've been using has been alien to me. So I've been getting that information and sharing it out with people like yourselves who understand that language, which I don't, because as I said, blockchain and XRP was not a language I understood anything about. So when they talk about the protocols and everything else, it's just like, yeah, it went right over my head. There was no hair there to stop it.
Charlie, you're amazing. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, man. I know you're a busy guy, and I really appreciate it. And I hope we can continue an offline conversation and get back together on the show sometime soon.
Absolutely wonderful, Brad. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, my friend. Let's talk soon.
Cheers.
Hi, it's Justin, and I hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it, and just remember, Jesus loves you.